it's raining. I'm exhausted. But I'm dedicated to you all. So that's why I'm filming. But I didn't feel like standing while filming, so I'm just gonna sit on the ground and watch my posture. Hey guys, it's Chloe, and today I am here with a brand new video. Today I am here with my July wrap-up, and I read a total of 14 books in the month of July. So many books, so many awesome books, and I'm so excited to talk to you guys about them. And because this is probably going to be a long video, we're going to go ahead and get started. Really trying so hard to watch my posture, but it's so bad. Should I just stand up? I don't want to stand up. Fuck it, I'm standing up. I stood up, and I did it for you guys. Alright, so we're just going to jump right in to all 14 books I have to share with you guys. Y'all know I film videos early, but I'm actually kind of cutting it a little bit close for the month. By my standard, it is the 29th, so there's 2 more full days left in the month. So the first book I completed in July was a reread, and that was Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. I finally started my Throne of Glass reread. You guys, if you've been around for a while, you probably know that I've read the first 2 Throne of Glass books, but I've never finished the series or continued past Crown of Midnight. And it has been 5 years since I read the first 2 books, so I definitely needed a refresh. And I picked this up, and I enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars like I did the first time, and I enjoyed it, although I've been warned I'm probably going to hate the series after Airfire. So I guess we'll see what happens. I'm hoping to pick up like 1 book a month, and then I'll probably finish it by like December or January. We'll see. The next book I picked up is Maybe Now by Colleen Hoover. This is the second book to Maybe Someday. It's kind of like a sequel companion. And I gave this one 4 stars. I enjoyed it, but I don't necessarily think it is necessary for this to be a series. I think if we just had Maybe Someday and no sequel, it would have been fine on its own. But it does give closure to a character in the first book. But I did enjoy it, and I gave it 4 stars. Next, I picked up a book that everybody has been raving about, and that is Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. I loved this book, just like everybody else has, basically. It has such good representation. It's male-male relationship. There is a biracial main character who's half white and half Mexican. It is so good. I read the ebook, so I didn't realize it was this thick. And before I even picked this up, I saw somebody on Twitter mention that this book was a lot steamier than they expected it to be. And oh my god, they were so right, and I completely agree with them. But this book is so good, and I definitely want to pick up anything else that Casey McQuiston writes. And I highly recommend this book if you haven't picked it up. Like, it was so good. I read it from the library, and then I bought my own copy. I loved it. A lot of the books I read this month were not from my personal TBR shelves. A lot were new to me books that I didn't own, and I got them from the library. Next, I read Her Royal Highness by Rachel Hawkins. This is the sequel companion to Prince Charming, formerly titled Royals. When I read the first book, it was still titled Royals, but now it's titled Prince Charming. This follows a new character, as well as a character that we met in the first book. This is female romance. I believe it's bisexual, and it was so good. I give it 4 stars. It's not like my all-time favorite. I enjoyed Prince Charming a lot more than this one, but I still recommend this book. I'm just noticing now that I read a lot of like diverse books this month, and I'm really happy that I did that. Next, I read Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This is my first Taylor Jenkins Reid book. This was the book of the month for Once Upon a Read-Along for July. And I actually ended up really enjoying this book. I listened to the audiobook, which I highly recommend. It does have a full cast, so if you're not paying attention, you might get confused by some of the characters and the voices. I didn't know what to expect from this book, but I ended up really enjoying it. It follows a fictional band called The Six, and then it follows Daisy Jones and how she was a part of this band and how she, like, who she is in relation to the band. There is a lot of stuff in this book. Drugs, sex, alcohol, a lot. So definitely like read the synopsis or check out any trigger warnings. before picking up this book. I gave this book 4 stars, and we did a full live show on this book, and I will link it in the description below if you want to check out more of my thoughts. Next, I read The Kiss Quotient by Helen Hoang, and this book surprised me. I've heard a lot about The Bride Test, which is the companion sequel to this book, so I figured I would pick this one up first, and I ended up enjoying this book. I give it 5 stars. Our main character has Asperger's disease, and it is own voices because Asperger's is a form of autism, and the author does have autism as well. But this book was really, really good. It was interesting at first, and I didn't know where it was going to go, but by like the middle, I was like so hardcore rooting for the main couple. I loved it. This is part of my like whole new love for like adult rom-com and adult romantic books in general, so highly recommend this. Next, I read The Odd Sisters by Serena Valentino. This is the 6th book in the Villains series. This just came out on July 2nd, I believe, and this follows 3 characters who are throughout the whole series. We finally learn where they come from. Finally, I know more about the sisters, the Odd Sisters, and they've weaved their way through every other book, and I finally know more about them, and I'm so happy. Who are we gonna follow next? That's what I need to know. I gave this book 5 stars. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like this wrap-up is all over the place. At this point in the month, Reading Rush has started. Everything from this point on, I read during the Reading Rush, and I also read during my reading retreat. I have vlogs to both of those that I'm going to link in the description below when they're uploaded, which will hopefully be in the next like week or 2. So I read 5 Feet Apart by Rachel Lippincott, and this was like a huge thing earlier this year because it became a movie. Basically, we're following these teens who have cystic fibrosis, and they can't come within 6 feet of each other. It kind of feels like a ripoff of The Fault in Our Stars, but I don't know. People like this book. I gave it 3 stars because while it was good, it didn't change my life or my reading taste. I'm probably going to forget about this soon. And honestly, I just read it to complete a challenge. So if you like that kind of story, that YA, like, illness contemporary, like a hard-hitting contemporary, then read this. But it's like The Fault in Our Stars. Next, I read At the Heart of the Deep by Carrie L. Wells. This I also gave 3 stars. There were interesting parts. There were parts I was just on. This book needs so much more world building to me. I feel like I have so many questions from this book that didn't get answered that should have been answered in a first book. And I feel like giving it 3 stars was generous, but it left it on a cliffhanger. And in the back of the book it says the sequel is coming out in 2016, and the sequel never came out as far as I know. I did research this. It's 2019 and there's no sequel. There's a lot of science involved in this. There's an issue with the ocean, and our main character, I can't remember her name, she's like a mer person, but she's also like a mer scientist, and then we have human scientists, and they're collaborating to figure out what the fuck is wrong with the ocean. I don't know. There were parts that were good. There were parts I didn't care about. I just really want more world building because I'm so confused on how these mer people live. Next, I read Confess by Colleen Hoover. I listened to the audiobook for this. I have read 2 like really hard-hitting Colleen Hoover books recently, and this was just not as hard-hitting as those 2 were. This is still really good on its own. I give it 4 stars, and it does have some shocking moments, and it also has some badass moments where I'm like, yes girl, go. You go girl. But this did not hit me as hard as the past 2 Colleen Hoover books I've read have. But I still enjoyed this book. 4 stars. If you like Colleen Hoover, you'll probably like this. I also find that Colleen Hoover has had a lot of twists in her books recently. Like I've read this, and the 2 ones that like broke me were Ugly Love and All Your Perfects, and they all had twists in them. And just, Colleen Hoover does really good twists, I guess. Next, I read The Wedding Date by Jasmine Guillory, and I fell in love with this book. Like, as soon as I started reading it, I fell in love with it. I give it 5 stars. I've seen this at Target a lot, but like had no idea anything about it. I ended up getting the sequel, which is like a companion sequel, at a used bookstore for $2. So I was like, well, I have to read the first one now. And guys, 5 stars. So good. I highly recommend it. I don't know if you'd call it like a friends with benefits situation. Basically, 2 main characters get stuck in an elevator together, and then there's like the fake date, fake girlfriend trope, and it was just so good. Highly recommend. As soon as I finished this, I went to Target and bought a copy. Like, I had a library copy. I went to Target and bought my own copy because it was so damn good. Okay, this next book that I completed is not listed on Goodreads, and it frustrates the hell out of me. But I read Memento by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. This was the promotional prequel novella that you got if you pre-ordered Aurora Rising. I did not. My friend Kathleen from For the Love of Books did and had Memento and let me read it. Highly recommend. I love this book. This is set before the events of Illuminae and then happens like a little bit into like the events of Illuminae. It's also very sad. It was very sad, but I gave it 5 stars. This took me like an hour to read, maybe less. It's only 82 pages. If they ever print this, I want it. It's probably the only Illuminae Files book that I gave 5 stars. I don't even know, but it is so good. If you have Memento and you haven't read it yet, read it. It will take no time and it is so good. The next book I read was Hello Girls by Brittany Cavallaro and Emily Henry. I received an e-arc of this through Edelweiss Plus in exchange for an honest review. And guys, this book is so all over the place. I don't even know. I don't think I can tell you what kind of genre it is. It is contemporary. It's road trip. I've heard it's inspired by Thelma and Louise. Basically, our 2 main characters meet in front of the police station. They're both coming from really bad situations, and they decide to run away together. There were interesting parts. There were some really interesting parts. And then I think my main issue with this book was the writing. I have read Brittany Cavallaro's work before. I have enjoyed Brittany Cavallaro's work before. I don't know if Emily Henry has written anything before, but the writing with this was all over the place. It felt very inconsistent. It felt like a jumbled mess. And I hate saying that. I hate saying that so much. But normally there's some books where it has multiple authors where the writing is consistent and it flows, and I love that. This is not one of those books. I gave this book 2.5 stars. I don't know if that was a good rating. I kind of want to give it a 2. I don't know. I gave it the half because there were interesting parts. There were interesting parts. And I by no means hate this book. I don't hate it because I enjoyed those interesting parts. The writing style is what kills me. And I hate saying that, but I'm sorry. It's true. It's not consistent. And I don't like that. And finally, the last book I read in July was Dear Sweet Pea by Julie Murphy. This comes out on October 1st. This is her first middle grade novel, and oh my gosh, guys, first of all, this is really, really fast-paced. It's very fast-paced, so you'll get through it quickly. But this book is what I would have loved to read when I was in middle school. There is a lot of body positivity in this book. There are LGBT characters in this book. There's a lot of focus on friendship and advice, and I really, really enjoyed this book. I gave it 4 stars. Probably because I probably give it 4 stars because it's not like one of my new all-time favorite books, but I did enjoy it. Oh, there's also the aspects of divorce in this book, which again, middle school me, this would have been great. And I'm so glad I got the chance to read this early. When this comes out, it comes out on October 1st. Pick this up and read this because I loved it. And for Julie Murphy's first time going into middle grade, it is so good. Chloe, what about your wrapped book for July? Well, guys, I'm glad you asked because it's right here. The Wrong Side of Right by Jen Marie Thorne was the book that I unwrapped for July, and I just picked it up yesterday. I'm on page 97, and so far I'm really enjoying it. I do plan on finishing this before July ends. I have 2.5 days to finish this book, and I definitely think I can do it. I probably won't leave right here whether I finished it or not because this video will go up probably before I finish this book, but I'm determined. And if I don't finish it this month, well then you'll see it in my August wrap-up. But so far so good. I am enjoying it. I enjoyed Jen Marie's other book, The Inside of Out, so I'm interested to see where this goes. So guys, those are all of the 14, almost 15 books that I read in the month of July. I'm not even gonna lie right now, I feel so gross, and it's hot in this room, and yeah. So, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure to check out all the videos that I linked down in the description below. I think there's 3. And that is all I have for this video today. So if you want to check out my vlog channel, Coalescence, it's linked in the description below. And if you'd like to see here, please go ahead and click subscribe. I post new videos every Wednesday and Saturday, so click subscribe so you can be updated when I post those. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye!
In the darkness, I don't feel so cold.